my channel. My name is Mouse. Sometimes Andy and I talk about books and book-related things, and today I'm going to be talking about my wrap-up for May. As always, here's a disclaimer that it is not actually the end of May yet. It is May 25th. The reason I'm filming this today is because my birthday is on Saturday, and I will not have time to film this between now and then. So here we are. These are my stats. These are how I count things and how they're important to me. But if you have any recommendations on ways to make this more accessible to y'all, or things that y'all would want to see in my wrap-ups, just let me know in the comments down below and I will definitely get those to you. Also, we might be in the middle of it by the time this video posts, but I am hosting a readathon right now. It is the Clear Your Shit mini readathon, and it is to get us ready for the big readathon in November. So we do have merch and stuff that is currently on sale. So with that said, I am gonna get the show on the road. Let's talk about numbers first. So I read a total of 79 books. I read 26,674 pages. I listened for 527 hours with an average rating, I don't think that's right, hold on, with an average rating of 3.7. I don't remember what I had last time. That doesn't sound great. 3.7 is bad, y'all. I did not read good books this month. Alright, I read 42 audiobooks, 16 ebooks, and 21 physical books. Now, I will also disclaim that if I am listening to a book, there's a lot of time I'm also reading it digitally or physically, if I can get my hands on two different versions of it, because if I'm working, I'm going to listen. If I'm not working, I'm going to read. So that's where those pages come from. I think I've clarified that before, but I just want to triple clarify. For audience, I read 60 young adult books, 16 adult books, and 3 middle grade books. I read 29 fantasy, 17 books with queer characters, 15 sci-fi, 10 thriller, 6 horror, 5 contemporary, 3 dystopian, 2 historical, 2 retellings, and 1 romance. I read from 58 cisgendered authors, 48 white authors, 22 queer authors, 21 non-binary authors, 20 people of color, 10 neurodiverse authors, and 22 of those authors were debut authors. So there's that. Very exciting stuff. That's the bulk of it. Those are the numbers. We all like the fun little numbers game. I'm going to talk about the books that I enjoyed this month. So the top 5 books this month are going to be The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. Kind of blood magic, immortal, girls are monsters, or are they? King decides to use these monster girls as warriors in a army, and they end up finding out a lot about their history that was kind of hidden from them. It was very, very cool. I listened to it when I had a migraine, and it was wonderful. If I was listening to a terrible book while I had a migraine, I would just like throw myself off a cliff at that point, you know? The second best book that I read was House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. This is kind of a speculative fantasy horror. It has big, like, Wayward Children vibes. I enjoyed it a ton. It was really, really good. These 3 sisters basically have something really strange happen to them. They vanish and then they return, and when they return, like, they don't have any memories of their past. They couldn't tell you what happened to them. It was really weird. And then they have like these kind of strange like powers, influential powers, and one of their sisters has gone missing. They're now adults, and almost all adults, and one of the sisters has gone missing, and so now they're trying to find their sister, and they might have to address what happened in the past to figure out where that sister went. This book was amazing. The audiobook was read really, really well. I did just recently get a physical copy of the book, but regardless, really, really good, really well done. I enjoyed it a lot. The next one is The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichek. If you liked Circe and The Song of Achilles and Ariadne, those kinds of books, and you like Norse mythology, then you'll like The Witch's Heart. It is about Loki's wife who lives on an island secluded, much like Circe, and her children, and basically the end of all of the gods. Yeah. It was a really solid read. I enjoyed it way more than I expected to. I thought it was going to be like a historical romance that was lame, and it was wonderful. I might actually read it again just because of how much I enjoyed it. And for the 2 arcs that were the best, we have One Last Stop. This one I had as an audiobook arc from NetGalley, and I highly recommend buying this book, y'all. It was one of the funniest and most fun queer romances I've ever read. The sci-fi aspects of it were incredibly well done. I never felt bored reading this book, which for a romance is really impressive because a lot of the time I feel bored reading these books. And this author has, this is the second time this author has made it into my top books of the month, and they are a romance author, so that's just astonishing. But they do really good writing. I will say One Last Stop is an adult book. It is not a young adult book, which means there are adult themes in it that are not for children, so keep that in mind, especially if you have some issues with reading smut. For me, it was well written, and I didn't struggle with it, but you might not like it if it is something that you don't find appealing. The next arc that is in my top 5, and I literally can't stop thinking about this book, I think I mention it to Bella at least once a week, was The Iron Widow. This book is like a poly book where the main character is just feral and mean. She's so mean, and she doesn't stop being mean, and I love that for her. It very much had vibes of Beyond the Ruby Veil. The main character very much had those vibes, except Beyond the Ruby Veil, the main character thinks way more highly of herself than the main character of Iron Widow does. The main character of Iron Widow, knows that she's a peasant, knows all of that, but she's just like, I'm gonna kill all men because they deserve it and they're awful. And fuck you. That's it. And it was great. It was fantastic. The mecha concept of it and the use of Chinese culture was just incredible. I wasn't sure how those things were going to merge, and it was incredible. And that ending, I need the second book yesterday. The ending was absolutely amazing. And this is a debut book, which is just mind-blowing to me. It was so good, and I loved it so much that it almost made up for all of the shitty books that I read this month. Almost. Which leads me to, what was the worst book of the month, y'all? Well, this is a little bit difficult because there were a lot. I'm going to start with the book that I DNF'd. Normally I just talk about one book when I talk about the worst book, but I read some really terrible ones, so we're going to talk about more than one. The first one is American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I DNF'd this book at 34% or something, which was still 200 pages in because this book is obnoxiously long for no fucking reason. And the way the book starts is so jarring and off-putting. It was terrible. I did not enjoy it. The writing dragged on, and Neil Gaiman is known for writing weird shit, and Coraline, great example. The Mirror Mask, alternative, great example. I like Neil Gaiman's writing generally, but this book was so mind-numbingly painful to try and get through because all of these weird-ass shit things are happening, and the main character is just constantly just oh, okay. His wife comes back as a ghost, and she's like, yeah, I died cheating on you. Giving Roadhead. And he's just like, oh, okay. Lame. Lame as shit. The next ones are going to be Max and Fang by James Patterson. Those are the 5th and 6th books, I think, in the Maximum Ride series. I stopped at 6 or 7. I just stopped. I was like, I'm not reading the rest of these because it was so bad. First off, James Patterson just lost the plot quite literally by making it all about saving the environment, but then he further lost the plot by making Max just obsessive about romance. Just weirdly obsessive about romance. I don't know if James Patterson has people who shadow write for him or ghost write for him, but I feel like someone did. I feel like someone ghost wrote for these last books, and they were bad. They were so bad. Did not enjoy them. Here's the thing. I finally found a book that was worse than The Silent Patient. I finally found it. That's going to be The Ballerinas by Rachel Kapelke-Dale. First off, we always talk about how men shouldn't write women. Some women shouldn't write women, okay? Not a single one of these fucking characters is likable. It's a tale of the struggles of female relationships. No, it's not. No, it's not. Oh, they did something in their past and, it's haunting them. No, it's not. It's not haunting them because you brought it up twice. We find out what it actually was 75% in, and then they address it 98% in, and the character that it happened to was just like, oh yeah, no, I knew it was y'all and it's fine. The other thing is that, like, the descriptor of the book is like, with characters you soon won't forget. One of the characters I'm pretty sure even the author continually forgot about. Also, there were so many plot holes, and the way that the timeline went from past to present was just bonkers. I hated this book. It was horrendous. It was one of the worst arcs I've ever read, and I don't recommend anyone read it. And some of the reviews are like, oh, this was such a good representation of dark, like, female friendships, and I'm like, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. They all just need therapy, like extensive therapy, but it wasn't a good example of that. Also, the twist in the book, hear me out, the twist in the book is that men are terrible. I, as an AFAB person who exists in the world, was truly shocked. I did not know that information, and so being told it in a thriller was just truly shocking. Anyway, it is a contemporary that dressed itself as a thriller because it has one murder in it, so congrats! You wrote the worst book I've ever read, I think. No, that Curse of the Celts books is still the worst book I've ever read, but this is the worst thriller I've ever read. So, that was my wrap-up, which consisted primarily of me bitching about thrillers that sucked. I read so many terrible books this month. I am hoping to God that June is better. Luckily, I have the readathon and books that people have given me that I have been wanting to read for a very long time. So I'm hoping that June is better, but we will see. If you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these books, or, you know, you loved The Silent Patient. Don't tell me you loved The Silent Patient. I don't want to know. But let me know in the comments down below if you didn't know that men could be terrible in the world and you're just truly shocked, much like I was. I will talk to you guys later. I hope you had a great rest of your day. Don't forget to take care of yourselves, drink some water, take your meds. Okay, thanks. Bye.